Well, welcome everyone. My name is Russell Reese, and I'll be your presenter for today's webcast on engineering change order. As info, since we have many people attending the webcast, all phones will be on mute during the presentation, so any questions you may have can be entered in the question facility on the GoToMeeting window. So with that being said, let's get into today's webcast. Over the last 20 years, Synergist has helped thousands of people with challenges they face within and outside their companies. Today, we'll take a look at some of the common challenges our customers face regarding their engineering change order process and how Adept solves those challenges in a fast and easy way. So change management is a vital process to our customers. It is the process that allows them to accurately identify, assess, approve, and implement changes to their most valuable business assets, their products and services. Without a clear ECO process in place, making a change to a product or service can set off a chain of costly, time-consuming events that can be avoided. So we'll look at everything from creating and managing the process using change request forms and linking or relating documents to the request. And as the documents and changes go through the process, Adept will automatically track their progress and approvals via Adept's audit trail and workflow features. So as many processes do, we started with a simple whiteboard sketch. And as we all know, this process varies greatly. Some customers have multiple forms or documents from ECR to ECO to ECN. Others combine them into a single process or document to go through that process. This sketch shows you the process we'll take you through today to show you how Adept enables you to implement a successful collaborative engineering change process that is completely configurable by you to meet your process requirements. So the scenario we'll go through is that of a bike parts manufacturer and supplier that needs to make changes to their products in order to meet manufacturing and design changes by a large customer. So we are the bike parts manufacturer and supplier. Now the customer has made changes to a bike frame that we supply parts for, and our lead engineer has already identified the changes into fit and form and function that we need to make to keep that relationship and supply those new parts. So the process we'll go through is that of the creation of an ECR, submitting that, how it gets reviewed by different stakeholders to make sure it's accurate, and then finally, when it's approved, who needs to be notified? How can we automate that? And on that notification, we'll notify our engineering manager, who will create an ECO or engineering change order, assign that to our engineer to actually make those changes, and then we'll take a look at how Adept can also help you through the review process of your CAD changes, document changes, and then finally automated approval and optionally publishing of those documents and drawings. So with that being said, let's get into the software demonstration of today's webcast. Our process starts with an engineering change request that analyzes the change for scope and feasibility, just as we saw in our workflow process. So in Adept, you can create templates for any type of document that you want to use. CAD, Word, Excel, you see various examples here. Now I like this because when I make a change to this template, and we're going to be dealing with the change request and change order templates today, when I make a request, since I manage these, as soon as someone goes to create a new change request or change order, they're always using that new version of the document. So here are the templates that we provided for our users. We're going to start with our change request. So as the engineer now in that process, he's now in Adept desktop client, which you see here. So this is where he would come in, create his ECR and his PC. We'll also, through this process, involve our CAD application and the changes he may make in there. We'll show you the interface in there. And then we'll also show you our interface in the web client for remote users during this process. So when he's ready to create this document, he's chosen that template from the drop-down. He can give it a name or use Adept's auto-naming feature. This lets you define templates or naming formats, and Adept will then put in the proper number for the next available number in the system or next available document in the system, in this case number 15. So at this point he'll create that document. Adept will use the template, create a new document from the template, and place it in his work area. Now, what he would normally do is open up that template and fill it out. So he can just double click. He'll open up that template, and as you can see, I cheated just a little bit today. I filled in the template ahead of time for demonstration purposes, and I'll fill in a few fields here. So this is from Adam A. He is from mechanical engineering, and you can see he filled out a description of why we need to make this change for our large customer. We're also going from aluminum to a steel part. He also included the products that were affected, the category of change, reported by. We also give them the opportunity throughout the process for our different reviewers to leave comments and sign off on the document. So this was a form that we developed. You can use your existing forms. You may use forms in Word and Excel or any other template that you wish to use. But now that we filled in this document, our engineer is happy with the information he's provided. Wouldn't it be nice to automatically have all that information in the form available to you in your document management system to search on, review, and even update? And this is something that Adept does for you automatically. So when I save my form, Adept can extract all of those properties from those fields that I just filled in and have them available to your users, again, to search for and review. So none of this was typed in by the engineer. He only typed in the form, and now it's all in the system for him. So as the engineer, I now want to relate my different documents or drawings to the ECR for approval as they go through that process. So we can relate any other document in the system to our ECR. And I may use searching. I may use different browsing techniques that Adept has. In this case, I'm going to go to the project for this change. And I know as the engineer, it's going to affect this assembly and my drawings and at least this part. And I may have in other libraries or folders, I may have related documents from the customer, maybe specifications from them, or maybe even an image of the change that they're making. So whatever documents I want to relate to this change request to help people understand the scope, I can do. And you can see Adept manages that relationship, and it's very visible to your users. Now, as the engineer, I also want to maybe mark up some of these drawings or assemblies for the review process to start that. In Adept, we have an integrated viewer from Oracle called AutoView. So let's say he wants to mark up this drawing. He can open this in the viewer. Now this viewer can handle hundreds of different file formats. AutoCAD 2D and 3D. I'm sorry, CAD 2D and 3D. So that includes SolidWorks, AutoCAD, MicroStation, Inventor, as you see here, Word, Excel, PDF, even images. So as the engineer, I can come up and use the markup language that's integrated in this viewer. And as I'm doing this, I don't need any of the native software on my PC to view these native documents. So think about that from a CAD point of view or Word point of view. Any user can view and mark up and look at these documents without that native application. Very powerful. So as the engineer, I'm going to use the markup language, and I'm just going to make a simple markup today and say, redesign and aluminum to steel, and just as an example. And you'll see that it's tracking the markups in the window below. So from a collaboration point of view, you may have different people involved in this process. They can add their markups in this viewer. We can all see each other's markups and what we've done. So it's really great from a collaboration point of view going through that ECR and ECO process. So I'm going to save my markups. And when I'm ready to submit this for review, all I need to do is sign this into Adept. So when I sign this in, I choose a library or folder to put it into. Now we have a library for our project here, and we also have an ECR library for our ECR approval process. Now when I select the ECR library, you'll notice there's a red check mark. That means that when someone signs in a document to that library, we've defined an automatic approval or review process that will get kicked off. So on sign-in, it will automatically notify the first people responsible in that workflow. Optionally an email, So this email is going to the different engineers in that group that are, the different engineering managers that need to approve this in that group. Now you can see it's in the ECR approval workflow on the engineering manager step, but you'll also see that there's a small link here. Instead of emailing all the documents as attachments, this small link brings them back into Adept and lists the documents that they need to review. So you no longer have to send around all the documents and attachments, wondering where they are, who saved them, what they're really using. But not only will they get the email, they can also go to their inbox in Adept. This is where a lot of individuals like to start their day. They can see what they need to review, what's been assigned to them, and it's a great way, to get the scope or priority of what you need to tackle for that day. In this case, we see that we need to review this ECR that has been submitted. So if we go down to the Workflow tab, I want to show you that no matter where this ECR is in the approval process, I can see the step or where it is in that process automatically. Adept tracks that for you. So in this workflow that I've designed for the demonstration today, we can see that this new change or this change request has to first go through the engineering manager, where we need an approval from that group. It then goes to the stakeholder review step, where we need 4 approvals, and we'll get back to that very shortly. And then we go to manufacturing review, and finally project manager, who does the final sign-off. So as the engineering manager, I may review the ECR. I may review, the different documents that are attached. But theoretically, let's just say I'm ready to approve this and move on to the stakeholder review tab, the review step. I would just say, yes, I approve this. I've reviewed it. It does look great. And away it goes. So automatically, the next individual or individuals responsible for the stakeholder review step are notified. Now you'll notice we need 4 approvals on this stakeholder review step. Here are the individuals that we included in that step. What we've done here is we've included different stakeholders from different parts of our company, as well as Shannon, who is our actual customer. We want to involve them in this approval process to make sure we're on the same page. So Shannon's our customer. Adam, he's involved as a lead to approve this as the engineering group. Bill may be from purchasing. We want to get his feedback, make sure he knows, what's in stock, how this is going to impact him, get any feedback from him. So you can include 1 or more individuals from different parts of your organization to review this in a single step. It's like a parallel review at this point. Or you could break it up into individual steps. So you have that flexibility in Adept. You define the workflow, how many steps, who's involved in each step, and how many of those individuals need to approve it, and also the routing. What happens when they approve it? What happens when they reject it? It's very flexible. So let's take the point of view of Shannon for a minute. She's remote. We want her as part of our process. We want to keep this process automated. So from her point of view, she would have really 2 options. One, if she's a close customer, she may have access to the desktop client via our network access, maybe a VPN access, right? But what a lot of our customers do now is use our web client right from their browser remotely. So let's go to our web browser now and log into the Adept web client. So I'm logging in as Shannon, who needs to review this remotely from our customer site. When Shannon logs in, we take her to her inbox, where she'll see the ECR that she needs to review immediately. So in her inbox, she'll see exactly what's waiting for her to review. Using that same reviewer that Adam used to mark up that drawing, she can use that viewer right from her Explorer or Chrome or Firefox. Again, no applications needed on her PC, purely browser-based. So right from her web browser, she can review this Excel document form that we have. She may make markups on it if we give her that right to do so. So as she makes comments, she may decide, yes, it looks great, or maybe she wants to reject this. When she's completed, now, one thing to point out, depending on her role, she may also want to approve drawings, assemblies, and parts. The same viewer that we saw on the desktop can be used in the browser to view those 2D and 3D drawings and parts and assemblies as well. So a very powerful viewer for internal and external users. So let's say she is happy with those changes and she wants to approve it. She just says, yes, I approve this. After she selects the file, of course. So she says, yes, I approve it. And she can leave a comment if she wishes, or we can force her to. Either way, she's approved it now. It's moved on in the process. So from our desktop client, we can see now already that Shannon has approved this. So other people, other individuals in your company can automatically see that Shannon has approved this from her remote location, from that customer site. We also know that we need 3 more approvals before it moves on to the manufacturing stage of review. Now, I like this from a management or project management point of view because Adept also has the ability to send out alerts. So if this workflow takes too long, I may notify myself or an individual responsible for this project. They can quickly look at that link, come in here, click on the file, and see exactly where it is in that workflow at any point in time. Follow up and say, hey, how can I help you move this along? So let's kind of fast forward a step in this process. When the project manager hits that final approval, we want to notify different individuals that the ECR has been approved. They can start taking action that this is coming. We need to prepare for this change order. I'm going to simulate that today because I'm an admin of the system. I'm going to simulate that by doing an expedite of the approval. So again, this is just an admin function, but it's a simulation. So I'm going to do the final approval, and as you can see, it creates a final approval email with different stakeholders. You choose internal, external, anyone that needs to be notified. They'll get that information that it's been approved. So that's the first step in that process. Let's go back to our slide here and show you the last half of this process. So we've completed the ECR. The project manager has completed it. The engineering manager was on our list of notification. So now he's going to create the ECO. So the second half of this is that we want to follow through the assignment of the engineer who will actually make those changes, and then how Adept can help you in the ECO process to do the review of those document changes, CAD changes to the assemblies and parts and drawings. And then on final approval, when everything is ready to be released, that last person hits approve again, who do we notify? Different stakeholders that we've put on our whiteboard that we felt were important. And maybe even publishing those drawings and Word documents and Excel documents. So as we go back to our desktop client, let's start the ECO review process. We can do the same technique with a template. I want to, instead of the change request, I have a change order template, and I'll use our auto name to generate the next available number in the system. Again, you create those naming conventions for different documents in your system. Make sure people follow the correct naming conventions. I can open this up and fill in those fields again. I've already done that ahead of time, but it's the same process. But let's also create relationships to this document for this process. This is critical. So as an engineering manager, I have a better scope now that the ECR has been approved of what is really related. So I can, again, use any of my search techniques, find those documents. I still know the assembly, the 2 drawings. I now know this part. The head tube obviously has to be redesigned. I also know that maybe the dial cap has to be modified as well. Again, I can go and do different documents, more specifications if I need to, manuals that have to be updated. I can link all that together in this package. So as the engineering manager, I've now created a very nice picture for the engineer to start this work, as well as the people who need to review it when it's complete. So I'm going to sign in this ECO. And just as we did before, I'm going to kick off that automated process because I have a default workflow associated with the ECO library. So the people responsible for the first step in this ECO have been notified. Via email, they have it in their inbox as they saw before. And there's a few ways to do this. The way I chose today is we know the engineer for this project, the engineering group, so they are the first step in our workflow. They're going to make the changes as part of this step. You may choose to sign it in, and as the engineering manager, choose a workflow to send it down. You can reroute it. That's another capability. Today, we're ready to go. The engineer has been notified he needs to begin working on this. It's in the engineering step. So let's switch roles now and pretend we're the engineer. We want to make those changes. How easy is it for me to make those changes, sign everything out that I need, and then submit it for others to review? So as the engineer, to sign out this ECO order, I just need to drag and drop or right-click and sign this out to my work area. And in Adept, you can say sign out all of the first level. I want everything for this package at the first level. And I can say, well, I don't need the PDF to sign out. I just need the parts and assemblies. But the key thing here is that when I sign this out, it's related to that ECO. When I sign that ECO back in, it will make sure that all of the related documents, assemblies, and parts are signed in with the ECO as that package, and we'll see that. So it's a great way to keep everything together for the approval process too. So he's signed out everything he needs so far to work on this project. What I'd like to do is now transition to our example today as an inventor. This could be SolidWorks, it could be AutoCAD, to show you those changes and then track those changes through the review process of your ECO. So in Inventor and SolidWorks and the Autodesk products, AutoCAD, we have a task pane integration. This allows you to browse, search for different documents in the system right from inside the CAD application. We don't want the engineer going back and forth between the CAD system and the desktop client. So he can do everything that he needs to do from here, sign in, sign out. For today, I'm going to make a simple change. So I've already signed this out, as you've seen. I signed that out with the ECO. To open this in Adept using the task pane, I just drag and drop it into my work area. And the change we're going to make is we're going to replace this head tube. So we've redesigned this head tube from aluminum to steel. We've already done this ahead of time. So using our task pane, I can say, where is my new part that I just designed? Yep, here it is right here. I can say I want to replace that part. And if it was more than one part, I could do a replace all. But now I just drag and drop, and granted the mate locations, everything had to match up correctly or Inventor would then take over. But everything matched up. We put the new part in place. We'll save that change, and we're done as the engineer implementing this ECO. Now, granted, there may be a lot of other work to do, but for today, we're going to take the position that everything is complete. We're ready to now move on with this approval process. So as the engineer, I go back into, I could sign it in from there, but for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go back to the desktop client, the Adept desktop client, and sign in this ECO. And you'll notice when I sign this in, it knows what is related, and everything is signed in with that ECO as a package for review. One option that we did decide to use is that the engineer may want to submit things, but maybe he's not done yet. So if you look at the workflow for the ECO and the different assemblies and parts, it's still in the engineering step. So if he's going away for the weekend, but he wants to make sure things are checked in so far, it's still in his hands, it's still in review. No one else can see his changes yet. He could sign this back out and sign it back in and continue making changes. But when he's done, all he needs to do is approve that ECO. Everything else is coming along. And he can say, completed my work. And he can approve now that ECO. And in the Workflow tab, which you'll see down here, it's now submitted to his engineering CAD manager for the first step of reviews, then QA, and then operations before that final release. So now, this review process is very important. How easy is it in your change order process to review what's been done and what's been changed? As the CAD manager, I can use Adept's tools to help with that process. So, for example, I want to make sure that the assembly looks good. Using the WIP tab, it lists the last approved version that's in the vault and the version that Adam has signed in for me to review. And I can open both of those in that viewer. And in this mode, you can open 5 or 10 documents, but I open the 2 that I want to compare. And I can go to the Analyze feature and say compare those 2 assemblies. And what happens is, in the third window, it opens a comparison that in color shows me the differences. Red means things have changed or have been removed. Blue are things that have not changed. And if we had added something, it would be in green. So very visual to compare drawings and assemblies and parts. Now, the CAD manager is also very concerned about the drawings. He wants to make sure that the drawings are updated as well. So he's going to use the same technique to review those 2D drawings. I can compare the drawings, and I should see those same changes. And as my role, I can see everything is blue. Nothing has changed. I can zoom in and see, yeah, this is the exact same, head tube that was in the original drawing. So I can quickly see that Adam forgot to make that change or update those drawings when he updated the assembly. So as the engineer or engineering manager, I may reject this, and it may go back to Adam. He may make those changes now and resubmit it for me to approve. But let's just say, for the sake of demonstration, that it is okay. Everything looked great to us. All we do is approve that ECO. Again, everything goes along with it. We can say, looks great. It's approved. It's moved on now to QA, where we need 2 approvals from that group, and then finally operations. So when the last person in operations clicks the approve button, we now get to automatically notify. You can think of it as the change notification. We can notify the different stakeholders. Shop floor, that the ECO has been completed. There's a new assembly to check out, new parts. Purchasing, our customers and vendors, anyone who's involved in this process. We may also choose to publish that information. So as well as the automated trigger of notification on that last approval, Adept also has the ability to create PDFs from your drawings and Word and Excel documents and publish them for you automatically, maybe to a folder where the shop floor can access them. So these are all the ways that we feel that you can leverage Adept to help you create, monitor, and approve everything through your ECR, ECO process. So, what I'd like to do is just make a few more final points today. And, I think it's important to know that Synergist Software has been developing, implementing, and supporting enterprise document management and workflow solutions for about 20 years. And today, Adept has more than 40,000 users and a long list of customers using Adept to manage facilities engineering information, product and machine design, plant and asset. And customers select Adept because of the simple power of our solution, its scalability throughout the organization, and because of the fast and significant ROI we deliver. So these are just some of the examples of our customers, and I felt the benefit in that we've implemented both ECO processes, Adept, all the various transmittal features that we have. So these are a small example of some of the customers that are benefiting from the Adept solution. And to finally wrap up, these are some of the key reasons our customers have chosen Adept for their solution. As you've seen today, the flexibility in the workflow configuration to easily support their workflows on how they need to design them through both the engineering change request and change order process. We're also tightly integrated with AutoCAD-based solutions, Autodesk Inventor and SolidWorks, as well as viewing hundreds of other CAD and business formats. People also love the fact that Adept is easy to use and deploy, up and running in weeks, not months or years. And one other interesting feature that we didn't cover today is our transmittal or packaging feature. This is something very unique to our space that lets you create packages, send them to outside vendors or internally, and track what revisions went with every package. And finally, a major benefit that our customers love is that Adept partners with you throughout the entire process, planning through implementation, training, and ongoing support.